welcome to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis. Today is Tuesday, November 14th, 2017. You're listening to Inception Radio Network, the voice of the fringe majority. Here is your UFO Headline News. UFO sighting in Redlands, California on October 25th, 2017. The witness describes, I live on a 9-acre ranch in rural Riverside County, California. The ranch sits on a canyon approximately 1.5 to 2 miles across from my property. I only have light noise that comes from northwest of the town of Redlands, 10 miles away. The object I spotted was due east, with little to no visible light noise from the canyon. What caught my eye was the object was twinkling, extremely bright, randomly changing colors through most of the color spectrum. It also seemed to be much closer than other stars. At that point, I grabbed my camera, a Nikon D5200 with Nikkor 55 through 300 millimeter lens mounted on a tripod, and set it up in my driveway, pointed due east approximately 10 degrees above the horizon, and video recorded about 5 minutes worth of footage until my battery died. During the recording, the object seemed to move with Earth's orbit, but about halfway through the video, I noticed it made a slight direction change to the south, just prior to moving out of the field of view of my camera. I did not adjust the tripod once. I just started recording. With limited time, I wasn't able to view the video for a few days. Once I did see the video, I was amazed with what I captured. This object seemed to be within the Earth's atmosphere after view of freeze frame. What also made me believe this was within the atmosphere is that no other stars were picked up with my camera, which was set to record the flashing orb I spotted. Wow. Amazing. Next, UFO sighting in Buckeye Lake, Ohio. This happened October 18th, 2017. The witness describes, I went to the town of Buckeye Lake to take pictures of the lake and enjoy the sunset. I was there about 45 minutes, walking around, taking many pictures, facing west towards Columbus. I didn't notice the object at first until I was retrieving my pictures and noticed what looked like the moon on the left side of the picture about halfway up in the southwest sky. I zoomed in on the picture to see what it was and had no idea what I was looking at. At that point, it was long gone. I looked at the other pictures I took and didn't see it in any of them. I decided to ask around. I'm sure it's nothing, but has me rather curious. Dum dum dum. All right, next one. UFO sighting in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. This occurred October 19th, 2017. The witness states, I was standing outside of my back deck talking to my girlfriend on the phone when I started seeing these flashing lights through a tree. While I kept talking to her, they continued to flash heading south towards Wilmington. Several sets of lights all flashing randomly. After about 10 seconds, I didn't see them anymore. And that's when I commented to my girlfriend what I'd just seen. The following Saturday night, which was October 22nd, I went to a Halloween event going on at a park here in town, when I overheard several people talking about the lights too, while waiting to get in, exactly describing the same thing I had seen. I mentioned I saw them too, and they asked where, and I pointed in the northwest direction, and they said that's where they saw them too. It's always good to get backup, isn't it? To know that you're not alone, you're not the only one that's witnessed these things. I love these types of stories. Truly, truly inspiring. All right, next one. This one is a blast from the past of a UFO sighting, though not that long ago. This one states, me and my wife and 3 children were leaving my mother's house in Port LaBelle, Florida around 9 p.m. And this was in the year 2000 and happened in March. We were traveling north up Cowboy Way. Up ahead of us, about 500 yards, I seen a large green glowing light above the tree line. I had no idea what it was. I asked my wife, "Hey, what is that?" She did see it until I mentioned it. Did not see it. That's when my kids in the back seat seen it too. I stopped the car. We all just looked at it. It was large, glowing green, like the color and glow of a dark green. It was moving very slow to the northwest right, above the tree lines. It was making the trees under it glow from the light. I started driving again, getting closer to it, and all of us observing it. Then the thing turned to the side, I think. Now I believe we were looking at the bottom of it. A perfect, round, glowing disk. It was about 300 yards from us now. There must have been an opening past the tree line because it descended beyond the trees. It kind of looked like a big glow in the dark moon with the trees now in front of it. We came to a stop sign, and we had to turn right onto the State Road 80 East to go home. I was all excited and could not believe what we were seeing. I wanted to go straight and get a little closer to it, but my wife and kids were spooked and freaking out. Guess I can't blame them. Elizabeth, my youngest, was crying, so I turned to go home. When I got home, I called the Hendry County Sheriff's Department in LaBelle and asked if anyone is calling in and reporting seeing a glowing light off from Cowboy Way. She said 2 other people called in. She said she believes it is a helicopter. A helicopter? No. This was not a helicopter, a plane, or a balloon. I believe what me and my family witnessed was not of this earth. Cell phones were pretty much non-existent back then, and we did not have one. I wish I had a camera, but did not. I know it is 17 years later, but I had to report it. My kids are all grown up now, and when we are all together, we still, once in a while, talk about it. It is something they will simply never forget, and neither will I. Wow, that is absolutely mind-blowing and amazing. Those UFO stories and more can be found on ufostalker.com, but go to Inception Radio Network to find links directly to these stories. All right, moving on to Earth Sky News, which is earthsky.org. Pleiades star cluster, aka the Seven Sisters. The Pleiades star cluster, also known as the Seven Sisters or M45, is visible from virtually every place that humanity inhabits Earth's globe. It can be seen from as far north as the North Pole and farther south than the southernmost tip of South America. It looks like a tiny misty dipper of stars. How to see the Pleiades. If you're familiar with the famous constellation Orion, it can help you be sure you've found the Pleiades. The image shown on the site here shows Orion at the bottom left. When you see the 3 stars in a row, that's Orion's belt. When you draw a line through the 3 stars of Orion's belt to the right, and you come to a V-shaped pattern of stars with a bright star in the midst, the V-shaped pattern is the face of Taurus the bull. I'm a Taurus. The bright star in the V, called Aldebaran, depicts the bull's eye. A bit past Aldebaran, you'll see the Pleiades cluster, which marks the shoulder's bull, or the bull's shoulder. They had it backwards. In our image, the Pleiades cluster is at the top right. Aldebaran, Arabic for follower, is thought to be in reference to this star, forever chasing the Pleiades across the heavens. As a general rule, the Pleiades cluster arises into the eastern sky before Aldebaran rises, and sets in the west before Aldebaran sets. The only exception to this rule happens at far southern latitudes, like at South America's Tierra del Fuego, where the Pleiades rise a short while after Aldebaran rises. Now, in our northern hemisphere skies, the Pleiades cluster is associated with the winter season. It's easy to imagine this misty patch of icy blue suns as hoarfrost clinging to the dome of night. Frosty November is often called the month of Pleiades because it's at this time that the Pleiades shine from the dusk until dawn. But you can see the Pleiades cluster in the evening sky well into April. Now the legend of the lost Pleiade. Most people see 6, not 7 Pleiades stars in the dark country sky. However, the story about the lost 7th Pleiade harbors a universal theme. The astronomer Robert Burnham Jr. finds the lost Pleiade myth prevalent in the star lore of European, African, Asian, Indonesian, Native American, and Aboriginal Australian populations. Oh, fascinating. Moreover, Burnham suggests the lost Pleiade may have basis in fact. After all, modern astronomy has found that the 7th brightest Pleiades star, Pleione, is a complicated and hard to understand, quote, shell star that goes through numerous changes. These changes cause this star to vary in brightness. Plus, people with exceptional eyesight have been known to see many more stars in the Pleiades cluster. Claims go up as high as 20 stars. Miss Agnes Clerk reports that Maestlin, the tutor of Kepler, mapped out 11 Pleiades stars before the invention of the telescope. However, you must be willing to spend time under a dark, moonless sky to see more than 6 or 7 Pleiades stars. Stephen O'Mara, a dark sky connoisseur, claims that eyes dark adapted for 30 minutes or are 6 times more sensitive to light than eyes dark adapted for 15 minutes. The surest way to see additional Pleiades stars is to look at this cluster through binoculars or a low-powered telescope. Pleiades as calendar in history and in modern science. Now, historically, the Pleiades have served as a calendar for many civilizations. The Greek name Pleiades probably means to sail. Probably. In the ancient Mediterranean world, the day that the Pleiades cluster first appeared in the morning sky before sunrise announced the opening of the navigation system and season. The modern-day festival of Halloween originates from old Druid rite that coincided with the midnight culmination of the Pleiades cluster. It was believed that the veil dividing the living from the dead is at its thinnest when the Pleiades culminates, reaches its highest point in the sky at midnight. Now, on a lighter note, the Zuni of New Mexico call the Pleiades the, quote, seed stars, because this cluster's disappearance in the evening sky every spring signals the seed planting season. In both myth and science, the Pleiades are considered to be sibling stars. Modern astronomers say the Pleiades stars were born from the same cloud of gas and dust some 100 million years ago. This gravitationally bound cluster of several hundred stars looms some 430 light years distant and these siblings starred.
This holiday, switch to Cricket Wireless and get a free 4G LTE smartphone with no annual contract. Switch to Cricket, switch to Cricket, switch to Cricket, switch to Cricket, to get a free smartphone. It's free smartphone, really free. Cricket Wireless, something to smile about.
Requires number ported and service activation, minimum $30 per month. Applies to ZTE Overture 3. First month service charge and in-store activation fee up to $25 due at sale. Tax and restrictions apply. One-time fees may apply. See store for details.
Drift through space together at about 25 miles per second. Many of these Pleiades stars shine hundreds of times more brightly than our sun. The bottom line with all of this, November is often called the month of the Pleiades, or Seven Sisters, because it's at this time that the Pleiades shine from dusk until dawn. Wow, that is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Once again, go to our site to see the link from earthsky.org. Then finally, a look into the paranormal. These stories come to us from ThoughtCo, and you will see those links on UFO Headline News. Grandfather watches from the afterlife. Dum dum dum. Brianna believes that her dearly departed grandfather watches over her and is given further proof after an accident. She states, "Growing up as a child, I was very close to my grandfather, John. We had a lot of good memories together. Sadly, when I was 6, my grandfather got really sick and later died on Christmas Eve. Ugh, horrible. I remember my father, Presley, and my mother, Tana, told my sisters and me that grandfather had passed. When I heard the news, it messed up my whole Christmas. I don't blame you. I could not understand why it happened. I was very young, so I got angry with the Lord and asked him why he took my grandfather. The next day, I was in my room watching TV when I heard someone whisper my name. I've always been a weird kid and didn't ever really believe in, quote, spirits. So when I heard someone call my name, I got up and walked all around my room to make sure it wasn't my sisters trying to play with me. So I looked around, went outside my room as well, but there was nobody there to be seen anywhere. About 3 hours later, I was getting dressed to go outside with my friends when I heard it again. But this time, it kind of stretched my name out like, Brianna. Ooh. So then I was kind of frightened because I knew my sisters were already outside playing, and my mom and dad were across the street having a party with the neighbors. They left a 6-year-old alone. So I answered the whisper and said, "Yes?" I didn't get an answer, but I felt as if someone was standing behind me. I turned around very fast and saw something I can't really explain. It was like a little glowing ball of light with the figure of a human. So I automatically thought in my head, Grandpa? I stared at it for about 15 seconds, trying to make sure I wasn't seeing things. Finally, I said to it, "Who are you?" I had a picture of me and my grandfather on my TV stand, and right when I asked the question, the picture fell. Oh, I got chills. I turned my head to see the picture of us on the floor, then turned back to look at the figure, but it had disappeared. I was thinking maybe I was imagining it, so I finished getting dressed and headed outside. When I was outside playing, it was getting dark, so I had to go inside at about 10 p.m. I was in bed asleep when I awakened by 3 knocks. I opened up my door, thinking it was my dad or mom knocking at my door, but when I opened it, there was nobody there. About 7 years later, I was in a car crash with my mom. Our truck was hit by another truck, and we flipped over 5 times and landed in a ditch. I hit my head against the dashboard and was knocked out. Right then, I had flashbacks to all the things that happened when I was 6. The things that I just explained here. It was showing me that it was my grandfather that was helping, that was with me, trying to communicate with me. After that, I woke up when our truck stopped flipping, and when we got put into the ambulance, the guy was talking to me, asking me how I felt. I told him my feet were cold. I kept saying that, and when I looked down, I saw my grandfather standing over the man that was helping me. He smiled at me and told me everything will be okay. Ah, beautiful chills. From that day on to today, years later, I believe in the afterlife, and I believe that what I saw was real. I've never shared my story with my parents or my sisters because I was afraid of what they might say, but I wanted to let the world know that the afterlife is real. Wow, it's beautiful. But wow, it should tell the people closest to you. It's so important. I really, really believe that. Absolutely moving. And seeing a orb with the light that she described, that is something that is definitely always described when spirits, not ghosts, but spirits come back to visit us and to let us know that they are okay. All right, next story. After a devastating car accident, Shanley gets extraordinary help from a stranger who she believes was her guardian angel. She states, in 2007, on Interstate 40 in Arkansas, right past the Levi exit, my family and I were involved in a 7-car pileup, plus with an 18-wheeler. My sister was driving with me in the passenger seat, Mom directly behind me, and my little brother beside her. While we were crashing, I kept screaming, "Jesus!" over and over. We ended up on the left side against the retaining wall. None of us were trying to get out. We were frozen with fear. Then 2 men started beating on the doors, screaming for us to get out. One was a giant bodybuilder looking guy. He grabbed my brother over his shoulder and got my hand. I swear, I never felt my feet touch the ground as he ran us to safety. The other man helped my mom and sister. Just as soon as we were out of harm's way, a truck crashed right into the side that Mom and I were sitting on. I have no doubt we would have all been dead if we hadn't got out when we did. The man that helped me gave me his jacket. It reached past my knees and asked me if I was okay. I told him yes, and he turned and started walking back toward the exit. I put my head down on my knees for maybe 2 seconds. When I looked up, he wasn't there. There were no cars he could have gotten in. He just disappeared. About 2 weeks later, I was looking for his jacket, and it had also disappeared too, from inside my mom's closet. No one knew what happened to it. It was like there was no trace of him. I firmly believe to this day he was my guardian angel, and I thank God for sending him when he did. Beautiful. Oh, I love stories like that. Absolutely love it. Next, haunted by little humanoids. Both father and son are haunted by a mysterious phantom apparition that manifests as a small humanoid. The witness states, I lived in southeast Arizona in the 1990s. My father worked as a truck driver hauling lime to New Mexico. His shifts took 6 hours, so my brother and I had a lot of time to ourselves to get into trouble. I went through a rough year when I felt I was losing my mind. I was about 12 years old at the time when I kept seeing things. It started as little lights at the corner of my eyes, like psycho dots. For those who don't know, a psychodot is when you look at a bright light, then look away into a dark area and see a little blurry, multicolored dot fade away, like a remnant of the light in your sight. These dots would appear in my peripherals, then just dash away. I could never get a good look at them. Moreover, they would appear without me staring at light. For example, in the pitch black of my bedroom. This never bothered me until one night my brother and I were sitting on the curb outside our house and saw dead on what looked like a mouse running down the curb towards us. He didn't see it, but I sprang up and told him to watch out. He asked why. He didn't see anything. Slowly, those psychodots would appear as forms, sometimes animals, birds, bugs, and such. At first I thought how cool it was that I could see these things, but one day it truly became unnerving. It was the middle of the day, and I was inside. I went into my room to get my shoes out of the closet to go out. As I pulled the closet doors open, I saw, in the corner of the closet, a humanoid figure crouching, like someone cowering in the corner. A perfect human form right there in front of me. I jumped back and saw it poof into nothing. Wow. I ran out of there and told my brother what had happened. He seemed to believe me, but didn't know what to do. I told my mom and dad, too. And when I told my dad, he told me a story about one morning when he was getting ready for work. He says he saw a human figure, more like a shadow person, here we go again, than a psychodot in the house. He ignored it, he said, but he also said the figure followed him to the lime mines, where he would load up before hauling to New Mexico. He said on his drive he would see the figure appear on the side of the road, and we would drive past it, only to encounter it further down the road. He saw it again at the lime mine, watching him, motionless, as the workers loaded his rig. Wow, I haven't seen it again, but I can't say the same for my father. He was in the National Guard years before and went to Desert Storm driving rigs full of fuel through battlefields. Once, while on deployment, he said his rig came under fire, and he led the convoy through the streets of a city in Iraq. During the speedy getaway, he crashed into a Volkswagen Beetle filled with innocent bystanders, killing everyone inside. But he had to keep going. He said it's haunted him ever since. Wow, so many fascinating stories. I cannot tell you. There is so much more mystery out there. I want to thank you for joining me, Heidi Hollis, here on UFO Headline News. Remember to go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com to read and see all the links to the news stories shared here today. Be powerful, be informed, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Hey, where are you going, Jim? The elevator's over here.
Taking the stairs.
But our meeting's up on 8.
Yeah, I know.
But that's 8 floors up. That's like 8 times 8. A lot of stairs.
That's the point. I've already lost a few pounds and earned almost $100 in wellness incentives.
Whoa, you're getting rewarded for working out?
Yeah, I know. I'm just as surprised as you are, Bob.
Fearless is full of surprises. That's the power of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. Learn more about our healthy benefits and sign up at fepblue.org/chooseblue by December.